everybody, it's Lee, and I'm here with both the Writing Wives, Malorie Cooper and Jill. Jill is gonna lurk, and Mallory's gonna take it away. They are lovely, very successful authors with a career authoring, and they help us not drown, us other authors not drown when it comes to marketing. And so Mallory's here to shed some light on Facebook ads and all the changes that have happened and how we can approach our marketing and not die. So, thank you for being here. I am going to let everyone into the talk because 10 more people just joined. Yay. So please post your
Cool.
questions in and I'm going to go on mute. Take it away, Mallory.
All right. So I'm sure as everybody here is probably keenly aware, ads got a little harder this year. And I know a lot of people have said, like, what are you talking about now? Ads have always been really hard. And that's true to a certain extent. I definitely have felt that off and on to various amounts throughout the years. Jill and I started running Facebook ads. Jill was actually first and then taught me how to do better at running Facebook ads back in 2016. And that's how we went from writing being a hobby to writing being a career. It was through Facebook ads. And what I learned mainly from her was that I had to do Facebook ads the way that Facebook wanted me to do them, not the way that I wanted to do them. I had come into advertising with all these preconceptions about what ads look like based on magazines and the internet over the years, and thought ads should look a certain way and smell like a certain thing and act like a certain thing. And I tried to make ads like that because I'd been in advertising for years. And Facebook was like, nope, I'm not showing these to anybody. Screw you. And then Jill's like, no, you have to do it this way. This is the way Facebook wants you to do it. And I set my ego aside and learned how to do it well. And the rest is history. And we, even back in 2017, early 2017, in the 20 books 50K group, authors were saying Facebook ads don't work anymore. I can't get them to work. I can't make any money. They just suck up all my money, and I hate them and want them to die. So you're not new in feeling that way. That's been a pretty common sentiment for like about a decade now with Facebook ads for authors. Um, and and so I made some PDFs basically explaining how I did Facebook ads and what was working for me. And then everybody's like, you need to turn this into a book and a presentation, please. So I did that. And then eventually people were like, you need to start teaching courses and running webinars because you have this information and we need to get it in front of more people. So I kind of like became the birth of Jill and I having this business where we help authors. And we're really focused on like sharing the information with as many people as possible, which is why we have a free group where people can join and take some of our videos and courses to learn how to run ads better. Because I don't want anyone to waste money on Facebook ads. And Facebook will gleefully take all of your money and give you nothing. They don't care. So you get, but there are ways to do it where, at the very least, you gain readership that's worth it in the long run. In the worst case, in the best case, you make a ton of money. Most people being somewhere in between. And that's what I really want for everybody is to actually be able to get, run ads that may not make you money and build your readership and build your career for the future. So a bit about like what's happened with Facebook ads this year and why it happened. So Facebook has changed quite a bit like over the years, and how you target. Like back in 2016, the rule was your audiences have to be under 100,000 people. If you make your audience over 100,000 people, the ad won't work. And over like the last 10 years, that's changed to make your audience almost as big as you possibly can, all the way to just target everybody in a country with your ad. Don't do any targeting, just they call it like wide targeting or broad targeting. Um, and and the sort of like the conventional logic sits around like at least 1 million people in your audience, and the bigger the better, so long as it's reasonable. Although I run full broad audiences all the time for tests, and sometimes they work. But that's a very fundamental change, right? Going from like I need to target people who read these 3 authors or potentially even this one author, all the way to I'm just going to target every woman in the United States over 25 years old. And both of those things can actually work. And so one of the things I really work on teaching people is like not like here's a prescriptive thing to do. It's helping people understand how Facebook actually works and what they want, because the system will always change. The best practice will always change. But if you sort of understand why the system works a certain way, then you're going to be better off at rolling with the punches. Or you can just keep up with what myself and other people are talking about. That might be some people, it's a much easier way to do it. But the big thing that happened is, I'm sure you guys know this, with like dynamic creative and all the AI text options and multiple images and multiple videos that could be in an ad. An individual ad that we make could have like 50 different versions. There'd be a version with this headliner, this image, or one with the video. Like they can take all sorts of different shapes and sizes. And this got done because Facebook's largest clients spend hundreds of millions of dollars with them. And they don't want to have to go in and make all of these individual permutations of the ad. They want to give Facebook a broad, a palette of information and have Facebook paint all the pictures for them. And so Facebook built the system to do this. The problem was that now the system has to, like, when any individual human being opens up their Facebook feed, Facebook's like, I have 73 trillion possible ads I could show this person. How do I figure out what ad to show this person? And so they had to completely rebuild their ad selection system behind the scenes. Like, that's sort of like a problem you never really think about, right? You don't think that Facebook actually has to have a system that can look at all of the ads on their platform, which are in the trillions, and decide which one an individual human being should be shown at any given time. Like, that's an incredible thing that happens within fractions of a second, millions of times a day, actually billions of times a day. And so they scrapped their whole system that did that and built a whole new system called Andromeda that does all of the ad selection and figuring out what version of what ad to show everybody. But what that really means is the entire audience and targeting system changed, because we view it from, like, I'm trying to target an individual human or group of humans. So for us, it's like it's a very focused element. Like, I want these people. With Facebook, what they're doing is the opposite. Like, I've got this one person and a universe of ads to show them. It's actually, to my mind, it's a very fascinating problem. And Lee, before we started, mentioned something about algorithms and how, like, the AIs pick ads, the algorithm has changed, and like AIs are in a way kind of algorithms, and they are and they aren't. The reason why so much of this stuff's been switching to AI is that it's impossible for a human or a group of humans to actually, like, write the logic that can account for all of those possibilities. And for so long, every time we write computer code, we're building things for computers. We're like, if this scenario happens, do that, and if this scenario happens, do that. And at a certain point, it just got to be, there are more scenarios than we can comprehend. And we managed to make this system that takes all of our accumulated everything that we've shoved into it, which is called training for AIs, and then figure out the most generic thing to do. In any given situation, which is really kind of what AI does. It picks the most likely thing to do, the most commonly done thing, given all the information it has, which actually isn't too bad for advertising, because it's like, what is this human being most likely to click on right now? So AI is actually relatively well suited to this task. And I honestly, there's a lot of things I don't like about AI. This is one of the things I do like, because there are some things that we as humans have to do that are absolute torture and drudgery. And I promise you, the poor developers that had to write the software to pick what ad to show to what human had lives of torture and drudgery. So this has been good for them. Unfortunately, it was terrible for us, because in one day, the ground completely shifted underneath us, and we were standing somewhere we didn't even recognize. Like 80% of the author targets were removed. This happened in late June. I think June 26th was the date that it rolled out. So you couldn't target by, like, all these authors you'd used. Like, cozy mystery as a targetable option disappeared. And it became like, how do I find my readers? And we flailed. And the new system was dog shit for the first couple of weeks. Like, it was terrible. It did not work well. Actually, probably the first couple of months, to be honest. I have no better way of describing it. I'm sorry. That's what it was. I don't apologize for that. I guess I did just apologize for that, but you get my point. Um, and so many of us did despair, right? Like, we're like, I even said on I do a thing called Lunch with Mal every Thursday. I'm like, I need to start looking at other ways to run ads, because I'm not sure that Facebook is a long-term plan anymore that can work. I don't want to be telling authors to do a thing that I don't think can work anymore. And thank goodness Facebook didn't persist in that completely broken state for too long, because I would have had to do that, and that would have been a real pain in the butt. But they, like I said, their biggest clients are people that pay them hundreds of millions of dollars. So those people have a very vested interest in an ad platform that worked. And Facebook got its shit together and got ads working. I see you guys have been pumping in tons of questions. I am going to go through these and we'll get to them. So fear not, I'm not ignoring the chat. So I want to give you guys some background so you can understand kind of what's going on. Um, and and now what's really happening essentially is that we're giving Facebook some suggestions like, hey, here's some people I think you should probably be showing my ad to. And Facebook sometimes is like, that's nice, pat on head. I'm going to show it to someone else. And sometimes it's like, I might actually try these people. We'll see what happens. Because what Facebook is doing is they're actually reading the ad itself and then using that to determine who the ad should be shown to. Our ad creative, the text and images that we use are how we target our ads now. And I'll talk a bit about that as we go on and get into some of the questions. But that's really what you're going to be focusing on. So people are like, how do I find my readers? To be honest, right now, like for your audience selection, like put in like novels and fiction books, or like if you do romance, put in romance novels or something like that, and then make sure your ad itself is like fine-tuned for for who your ad should be, who should be reading your book. And also assume at any point that your ad may show to people who don't read books and hate books. So if your ad doesn't scream book all over the place, it could be shown to people who just play video games, watch TV. They click on it. Facebook thinks, oh, all these people clicked on it. I'll show it to more people like them. Oops, none of those people read books. That could be a big problem. So it has to screen books. It needs to simply say what the tropes are, or as plainly as possible. Like you don't want to like have it be humans still have to read it and have to be enjoy reading your ad. Think it's about a cool story. So if you just like your ad is exclusively a bullet list of tropes, it's not going to work. But like it needs to be like a super clear what it's about, and that's really the big thing. Which, to be honest, though, is I think is great for us as authors. Our biggest strength is we write prose. Your ad should feature your prose. It should feature your characters. It should feature the emotion of your story, and it should like have your tropes and whatnot listed. And I'll chat a bit about where to put those. But I'm going to look at your questions because that's going to give me a good idea of kind of where everybody is as well. Um, so, so Rogue London said, I've only been in small presses and I have no idea how to run any successful ads. That's something that happens a lot with a lot of people. So hopefully there'll be some stuff that helps you. Lisa Lewis Coster says, how do you target ads? I have all the wrong people seeing mine. And the real thing is, the ad has to be like screaming the tropes so the AI knows who to show it to. And so we'll chat a bit about that. There's actually some ways you can prime the AI to help it know this because it learns across your entire. I think it learns across the page that you run your ads on. Like when you make an ad, you choose your author page and stuff like that. It's probably just pre-selected. You never even notice it. But I think it bases it on that. Like your page sort of accumulates this history of who your audience is. Some people think it's the ad account. I'm going to have like a knockdown, throwdown cage fight with Melissa Storm to determine which of those things it is. You know, we're actually gonna be doing that. It's gonna be lunch with Mal and Melissa. We're gonna like we're actually pretty friendly with each other, so I'm sure it'll be fine. But anyway, as your ad account runs more, Facebook gets a better understanding of who your audience is as you run more ads. So there's some of that, like a brand new page, brand new ad account that you never run ads on before. Facebook's like, I've got no idea. We're going to find out together. So there's a bit of a history in the system as well. So there's things you can do to help prime the system so it knows better. Well, I'll make sure I get to those. Marie Sinclair says, I write gay romance and a couple of questions. Oh my God, gay romance, right? Like the way I used to work with gay romance is I targeted all the steamiest authors because you couldn't target like gay or anything like that. That got removed years ago because nobody played nice. All the religious and lifestyle and queer and a host of other things in that realm, all those targets got removed because nobody was playing nice. People were running hate ads targeting each other and stuff like that. So you target the spiciest authors, sort of assuming that if someone's going to read about like naughty penis butt sex, they're not going to be too upset about. Welcome to Mal. They're not going to be too upset about some people just being gay, right? So that was kind of the idea. June 26th, all the steamiest authors were removed as targets. What do you do then? So yeah, I haven't got to your question yet, Marie, but it definitely got hard. How do I find audience that targets my ads, and how explicit can I be about my books being queer in the copy, given that Meta has strict language when not referencing sex and considers any queer references to be about sex? Man, you could get away with anything in a meta ad right now. I've done meta ads where there's just straight up sex scenes in the primary text. Meta themselves don't actually police this too heavily. But if people complain, they'll flag your ad and they'll take it down. They're not reviewing all the ads and all of them in extreme detail. The real thing is like, what is showing in the first little, like the first 5 seconds of a video? What are people going to see at the very top of the, like the primary text shows like 3 lines? What are they going to see there? Because you have to remember, now that we've lost the ability to like target, like in my example before, steamy authors, you know, my grandmother walking out of church on Sunday morning could possibly see one of these ads. And if the first thing she sees is something very offensive to her, she might click that report button. And that's what gets your ad flagged. Like a lot of times you're like, oh, Facebook ran this ad for like 3 weeks. Why did they shut it down? They shut it down because humans were reporting your ad. So you have to make sure that your ad actually needs to be explicit about what it's about. Because if you're hedging it, it could get shown to the wrong people, and then you've got a problem. I had a recent experiment with someone writing Megaverse, and we tried to soft sell it because Facebook was getting a little bit more strict, and I wanted the ads to all go through. We tried to soft sell it. They were terrible. No results. Put in all the Omegaverse tropes, scent matching, faded mates, all that sort of thing. Used all the naughty jokes that you would have in these sorts of scenarios, like KNOTTY. And we're and there were parts of the ad that were explicit about like actually describing like pinning down, taking, all that sort of thing. And those ads worked. We had to be completely frank about what the book was about. And this is something, by the way, that you should do everywhere in your marketing. Your blurb should be doing this. All of your advertising should be doing this. As authors, we've all got some part of our story where like this was super clever, and I'm so proud of what I did, and it's hidden at the end of Act Two, and I'm not going to whisper it because if I do, it's going to ruin the secret. That's the best and most marketable part of your book, quite likely. That's the thing you should be talking about all the time in every single one of your ads. And I did this to myself. I had this main plot arc in one of my series where a starship is trying to go to a given planet to settle a colony, and they go through a supermassive dark matter streamer that basically accelerates them forward in time very rapidly. And they jump forward 5,000 years into the future and never end up where they're going, and everything changes. And that happens in book 4, right? So you've got like through 3 books thinking things are going to go a certain way. And in all my marketing, I always hid this. And this was like never something that people found out. And then one day I tried just telling people about it in the marketing. Actually, I told people about it in person, and that's where they got interested. And I'm like, maybe I should just tell people about this in my marketing. And boom, it worked so much better. Like I had like in some cases like a 50% uplift in my conversion on my ads just because I finally started talking about the super cool thing that I hid deep in my series that was kind of the whole reason to read the series. And I stopped being clever about it. I started just telling people what it was. So so yeah, when you write steamy, queer, like I've got some books that I help people run ads for that involve like kidnapping porn and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. Um, we just come out and say what the book's about in the ad. And yeah, you might get some ads rejected. I remember this one client, she wrote, and I ran the ads for her. She wrote like really steamy reverse harem stuff, like of a whole slew. I'm pretty sure this was before AI, so she must have had like a bunch of ghostwriters doing it because there was like a new book coming out like every 3 or 4 days. And half of our ads were rejected. Like fully half of the ads were rejected by Facebook. We had hundreds of rejected ads, and we just made the ads, and they went and expecting that half of them would get rejected. So you kind of just sally forth insofar as like referencing these things, and yeah, some of your ads might get rejected, but that's how you're going to find the right audience. Hopefully, Facebook does go through more puritanical phases, and then those will fade away, and they'll be less puritanical, and they kind of ebb and flow. So that may change, but for now, that's the best way to do it. And like I said, you can kind of be subtle. You can use sort of like some of the terms that people use um, in your genre to talk about these things. And you can say reverse harem though on Facebook ads. You don't need to say why choose or anything like that. Um, and you should really get away with it. Like I said, you might have some ads that get rejected, but it should by and large be okay. I do know that yeah, any Facebook's official terms of service and whatnot do are fairly strict about referencing queer things, but yeah, even like this week, I've run ads that actually like talk about sex right in their videos. Like it's like 7 seconds into the reel, they're talking about actually having sex in the reel, and it works fine. All right, Yeah, Elizabeth actually kind of says that. She actually says she just comes out as this dark MM romance novel in the headline, and that seems to work pretty clear. You can also put that stuff in the description. The description box is rarely actually shown to people, but it is read by the AI. So you can actually use that as your place where you can dump. It can get seen by humans, so you need to make sure it's formatted nicely and looks decent. But that's where you can like list out, hey, if you enjoyed series XYZ by this author and love this trope, or love this list of tropes, then you might enjoy reading this novel. I always make sure it's a novel, just so that the AI doesn't think I'm actually advertising one of these things that my story's about. Um, so that definitely works pretty well. All right. Yes, Elizabeth. Elizabeth said I took a class last year. It's like everything is different now. It's so true. Emily says I could be running a free virtual writing retreat in January. I'm considering advertising on Facebook. Is there a particular type of ad or placement that you think be especially effective to promote it? Um, I always put my ads in almost all placements. If it's an image ad, I don't use any of the video placements. And if it's a video placement, I use all of them, except for Audience Network. Never run your ads in the Audience Network, and never run your ads on Marketplace. Marketplace ads don't really work for what we do. They might work for like a special edition, a hardcover print book or something like that, but they don't work for digital books at all. So you can actually target a lot of writing interests though. So depending on like, are you could be focusing on marketing or more writing? There are actually a lot of targets you should be able to pick. But really, like your ad should just like a fiction ad, your ad should just be really explicit about what it's about, what the goals are, what people can hope to learn, and that should capture most of the major things that will be identified as interest for people. Catherine says, I'm interested in the financial planning with ads and scaling. If I'm getting a 2-to-1 return on an ad, do I put that money back in 2 months' time to up my ad spend? How many times do I do this? I'm struggling to manage putting money in, but not getting money until 2 months later with Amazon. So I'll spend my ad spend in 1 month, and the next month I can't afford to run any. And then I get paid, and then I run for a month, and it keeps repeating. In that scenario, I mean, the worst thing is losing momentum. Nothing sucks more just sort of like mentally and actually on the ad platform than losing momentum. So if you're in a scenario where you've got to wait to get paid before you can run ads again, um, and if you have a super low interest credit card, you can put it on that. But most credit cards have interest rates so high that you should not be carrying any ad payment debt for a long time on them, because then your profits will get eaten up by the credit card company. Um, I would run your ads at half spend so that you can keep running them. And also, I think it's actually worth remembering too that it's actually not 2 months. It's as long as 3 months. If you start an ad on January 1st, you won't get paid that's any sales you make on January 1st until the end of March. Like it's 2 months from the end of the month. So it's even worse in some respects than just 60 days. But yeah, I also because like when you stop and start ads, they don't always come back the way they did. So you're like starting from scratch every other month effectively. And that's pretty brutal. So I would run them at half the money that you would initially budget so that you can keep them running that second month and then build from there. Otherwise, you're just going to be sort of treading water forever. It is worth it for folks who haven't run ads or thinking about them. You do need to be completely honest, you need $300 that you could just turn around and light on fire before you run ads. If you can't afford to take $300, it's like gambling. You go to Vegas. If you can't, money you put in the machine should be money you can afford to lose, um, or the stock market, right? Because there's no guaranteed return. So I really do recommend that you $300, by the way, is a $5 a day ad for 2 months. So that kind of works out with what Catherine was saying. So you basically need to have that amount of money to get started. And then also, if you've never run ads before, you have to sort of assume like, hey, like anything, I'm not going to ace this right away. There's a learning curve. So you are, in a certain extent, your first couple of months, maybe depending on how many books you have out and how prolific you are and how much you stay at it, even like a year, it's kind of like just tuition at author ad school. And you're paying it to Facebook, unfortunately, of all places. But it is something that you're not going to knock it out of the park right away. I'm sorry. I hate to say it. I didn't knock it out of the park right away. I still make ads that don't knock it out of the park. That I'm like, oh, geez, that was a complete whiff, and I should never have tried that. Um, but as you do it more and more, you're going to get more winners than not, and that's what's going to help things work. Kendra says, I feel like my procrastination's paid off because now I don't have to relearn the new method. Silver lining. I just learned I can hire Mallory to run my ads on procrastination. You learned that, Lee, when we sat together at the first mastermind in New Orleans that you could hire me to run ads for you. So
I forgot. I was at max. I needed to declutter before I had space in my head for the
that's true.
next.
It was on the last day as well. You were pretty full up on things at that point. All right. Carmen, where was Carmen here? Carmen says, I have a 99-cent BookBub deal. Featured on January 2nd. Nice. Cozy Mystery, book 5 in a 5-book series. Is it worth running Facebook ads for it? Or is the countdown deal period too short? Um, so is it just a US ad? Because can't do countdowns internet for more than just US or UK. So I'll double check that you didn't get a full spread BookBub ad and can only actually run your deal in 2 countries. You actually can get away with that, by the way. We've had times where we get like approved for like, full international plus US BookBub ads and do a countdown deal. And then BookBub's like, hey, we don't see the links for these countries. And we're like, oops. And then it's fine. I mean, I'm sure at a certain point they probably get cheesed about that. But that particular little tidbit aside, um, I would run ads for it leading up to that point and just don't mention price in your ads. I'm a really big proponent of not mentioning price in your ads unless it's sometimes if it's an omnibus, I'll mention that you're going to get the book for X% less or something like that. But the problem with mentioning the price in ads, so many times I've had this happen where the ad's running amazing, but I want to change the price or I need to change the price for some reason. And now this amazing ad has to be turned off, or I just forget and then change the price and then this ad's wrong. So I have a rule for myself and anyone I run ads for, I never mention price in the ads. I will mention percentages because that can be, can oftentimes remain true or true enough if the things change, but people are pretty particular with the price changes. So my thought is like, hey, if you run the ad for a little bit beforehand so that the Facebook can kind of like learn who to show it to, because it takes about 3 to 5 days for Facebook to figure out who your audience for an ad is. So we'll start the ad. You said December 2nd, like maybe like December 26th. Don't mention price, and then come the second, the ad should be like through learning and doing all right, and you can scale it up, and then have it running pretty good. Um, and then when people land on the book and they realize only 99 cents, then hooray, But most people that see Facebook ads and click on them are KU readers anyway, so it'll be good either way, whether the book's on sale or not. I have no idea what I did that was so Canadian, Kendra, but I'm glad. I'm glad that I'm identifiably Canadian. Monica says, I was running successful reels on Facebook and Instagram. Performance dropped off after a few months. I've tried relaunching variations of the same creative, new images, music, slightly revised scripts, but none of the iterations are taking off again. I use broad targeting, and this approach previously worked for my genre, mafia romance. Could Meta be seeing the creative as too similar to past ads? If so, how does the creative need to actually change for it to perform again? Meta does not do that. They don't care about your creative being too similar to past ads because your creative is similar to 100,000 other ads right now at any given point. And also, any given book, any given genre, you have easily 1 million people that are within your core target. And you spend a considerable amount of money and run an ad for quite a long time to even approach showing your ad to 1 million people. So nowhere near your potential audience has seen that. I'm curious, the real question is when specifically did it die? And what have you done since then? Because there's been a couple of points this year where major changes have happened. And so that might have been what killed your ad. And then there might be some things you could be doing that you're not doing now. So like, for example, if it died, there was a big drop off. I mean, there's always a drop off after Mother's Day. So that one happened, but that one wasn't really due to anything that Facebook did. And then there was another one June 26th when they removed all the targets. That one kind of took about 2 weeks to really kind of filter through and hit everybody because they phased in the new system and phased out the old system. There's always sort of a sea change that happens at the end of summer. And then there was a massive drop off that happened November 20th as well. That one was related to just Facebook's new system kind of like flaking out under the load of all the Black Friday as they got run. So it could be a host of things. What would I try in your shoes? I would try different. It's always the targeting options. If you've got creative that's worked well, it can work well again. You just need to get it in front of the right people. So those changes all happen and create in your targeting. If you've been trying, if you've been doing, so you said you, looking where you said here, I use broad targeting and this previously worked well. Try not using broad targeting. Um, what we're trying to do at this point, Facebook has for some reason decided I'm going to show this account's ads to these people over here, and you're like, dear Lord, no, Facebook, it's not working. You need to somehow convince Facebook to show your ads to these people over here. So you could try just targeting romance novels. You could try targeting contemporary romance. You could try the Advantage Plus targeting system or clicking that little link that says use original targeting, which gives you actually more concrete control over who your ads show to, but sometimes at a higher cost per click because there's fewer people clicking, which can be a good thing if they're the right people. So it's going to be futzing with your audience settings, who you're showing your ads to. Your ad on the ad set, there's a thing that says like, what are you optimizing for? It's right near the top in the conversion section. And the default used to be maximize number of link clicks, get as many clicks as possible. There's a new option. Well, it's been there forever, but Facebook's changed how it works. So now it's viable for us. It's called landing page views. So what landing page views means is, did they actually like click your ad, go to whatever page they land on, and stay there long enough to actually read it? And that never worked for us before with Amazon because Facebook has no visibility into what happens on Amazon. They can't tell if the person stayed there and read it. But something I'm sure you've all noticed, which can be pretty annoying, that when you're on Instagram or Facebook on your phone and you click a link, it actually opens in Facebook's own browser. You'll notice this because like your credit card's not there and none of your stuff auto completes. It doesn't have your passwords and stuff like that because it's actually a different browser that's running within Facebook. Well, Facebook uses that now to tell if you actually stayed on the page because you're inside their browser, so they can kind of like sniff and see. The downside, though, is that if you're linking to Amazon, a lot of people have the Amazon app installed, in which case it opens the Amazon app, and Facebook can't use this workaround to see if someone's actually on the page. So sometimes if it's set to link clicks, and you're like, well, maybe I need to get someone else to see this ad. You try changing to landing page views, or maybe your account got changed to landing page views, and your particular audience tends to have the Amazon app installed a lot, and then so Facebook can't actually tell who's viewing the landing page. So you could try switching it back to link clicks. There's a number of different things you can do. There's something I'll have at the end too that you can use to reprime your audience. But I want to get through some more questions before we get to that. But that's what I'd be doing. I'd be playing with audiences. And whenever I spark up new ads, I will always spark them up from multiple audiences and then I use Amazon attribution tracking links to see which one works best because you'd be surprised sometimes how audiences that never worked for you in the past or you didn't think would work great for a particular ad. So I'm always like, I'm targeting broad. I'm targeting by people who like a certain type of sci-fi. I'm targeting by people who watch certain kind of movies and read books. I'm targeting broad with Advantage Plus versus original audience. Like I'm doing a lot of different targeting, and then I see which ones come out in the wash. I'll do men versus women, which works for my genre. It doesn't work for everybody's. But there's always lots of targeting options you can do. Paula says, my ads have continued to work with slightly reduced ROAS, return on ad spend, for those who don't know. I've noticed they never go into learning, and I know they get shown to my superfans even when I make them from scratch. Does this happen to others? Sometimes you don't see the learning thing come on. Sometimes it's the note for learning is on for such a short period of time that you'd actually have to be sitting there refreshing the page to see it. And actually, when you change audiences, the ad goes back into learning, but Facebook doesn't actually show that anywhere. So you just might not see it. The way to make your ads not show to super fans, we'll do show and tell now, finally. Got a good one for this. Let me get a new traffic campaign up and running here. This account has so many test example ads. I just need to delete them so I can find the right ones. Or make the right one and then find it. Create traffic. Just give me 2 shakes of a lamb's leg here, folks. Lamb's tail, one of the 2 things. All right. Share screen. Okay, you guys should be able to see my screen. So I'm on, this is the campaign. We're going to go to the traffic section of making your ad. This, by the way, is where that number of landing page views, number of link clicks option is. And they've changed. Some people have this as their default now, and some people have this. So Either one can work. It depends, like which one works better depends on a plethora of factors. So if something's not working and you want to try showing your ad to different people, try toggling it and see if the other one works better. I do that all the time. Um, so what I want to show you guys is exclusion audiences. So what we can do is I can say, I can give you the option. They've recently moved this, and I always forget. Here we are. Actually, I don't think they recently moved it. It just looks different on different people's accounts, and sometimes I forget where it actually is on my own account. All right, so um, we have this option here to exclude custom audiences, and this is about like my superfans keep seeing my ads, or the same people keep seeing my ads. My return is going down. So you can go in here to exclude these custom audiences, and it looks a little bit different if you're using the original audience options. If I go to that, it lives under here. There's this custom audience thing, and you can choose add exclusions, and then you can exclude certain audiences. So the way to get to it's a little bit different depending on whether you're using Advantage Plus or the original system. But once you have it, the functionality is the same. So you're going to want to um, create a new custom audience. I'm just briefly curious. Is this going to let me switch back? Wow, this actually isn't pushing me to switch back to the other system. Oh well, there's where the button is to create a new audience looks a little bit different if you're on Advantage Plus, but it's the same. Actually, you can always create if you can't find the button to create an audience under Advantage Plus, because I swear it wasn't there 3 seconds ago. You could click that link to switch to original audience options, and then create your custom audience here, and then make a new ad and use it. Once you make a custom audience, it's usable in any ad. So I create custom audience, and it says like, where's your audience source? And you say Facebook page, because remember, ads actually run behind the scenes. They're technically posts on your Facebook page. They don't show in the main feed, but they're part of your Facebook page. So you'll say Facebook page, and then say next. And then it says, what's the page? And apparently the page right now is moving the needle for change. And you say people who engage with your page over the last 365 days. And people who engage with your page, which is the default option, is people who visited your page or took an action on a post or ad, such as reactions, shares, comments, clicks, or carousel swipes. So basically, any interaction with an ad counts as engaged with your page. So we pick this, and then we'll say audience name, like 365 page engagement. And then we say create audience. And it asks if we want to make an ad, which always bugs me. It's like we're in the middle of making an ad. They say done. And on the old system, it automatically puts it into it doesn't put it into the exclude section. It puts it in the main section. So we need to say exclude this audience. And then it duplicates it. It used to remove it. So we got to like take it out of here. All right, now we're in a spot where it's going to exclude anybody who's interacted with my page in the last 365 days. So that's how you can like make it so your ad doesn't include all of those people and finds new people. It's a pretty cool little workaround. There used to actually just be one button that did this in the ad platform, but now you have to jump through these hoops. You can make more than one. You could actually create a custom audience, and then you could use your Instagram account as well, and also exclude that. And you can even upload your mailing list and then exclude them from seeing your ads as well. So you can actually make like a bunch of different ways to exclude those people from seeing your ads. And it's super handy. All right, so there you have it. Let's see. I started Facebook ads a few months ago. This is from Corona, and we stopped being able to target specific authors, and my little progress disappeared, so I stopped. Well, we were behind because I just saw the cage fight comment from Lee, and that's back when I mentioned Melissa. Yeah, I think what I've said thus far kind of answers that. You have to go broader now in your targeting because you just have to. The audience, those detailed targets aren't there, and it's going to be upping your game with your ad creative to be more on point, talking about tropes, making sure it screams book, making sure your image is enticing and emotional, making it look less like an ad. That's one of the biggest things that I had to learn back when I first started writing Facebook ads. Facebook doesn't want ads that look like ads because people don't engage with those, and Facebook makes less money. So they want ads that look like regular posts, and those get engaged with more. Facebook makes more money. We make more sales. Everybody's happy. So, but it does still need to like have a book cover somewhere on it. Is my recommendation, because otherwise it could be shown to people who don't read books. Um, and actually, it's kind of interesting. The AI doesn't necessarily choose to show it only to book readers because your book's there, but non-readers see the book, run away screaming, and then Facebook sort of learns like, oh, there's this group of people here that don't read books, and when they see this ad, they don't like it because the ad did the initial filtering. And that's the thing. Your ad text and image actually is your initial filter. And then once Facebook kind of figures out who's responding and who's not, they enhance sort of the audience they build behind the scenes based on that. All right. Okay, Lee, I just got to your comment that says, OMG, my new book is titled Naughty Penis Butt Sex. How did you know?
It was just perfect timing.
Are you, how serious are you about that right now?
Well, I mean, that's the hook. That's the hook that I'm like, I no. I'm one of those people who's like, I have this twist and I don't want anyone to know about it. And
Mm,
the top review like talks about it. And I'm like, no, but that is actually what I need to be talking about in the ads and on TikTok. So,
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's the most interesting part of your book, you know?
but I
So
resist. I'm like,
we
no,
all do. Yeah,
I
yeah,
just want it to be a slow reveal. And yes.
yeah, totally. All right, Heather says if the hi Heather, if the AI is being programmed for who my best audience is, should I worry about skewing things by running traffic ads and sales ads in the same account? Actually, no, provided that they're for the same thing. Like if you're running sales ads for nonfiction or you're running your sales ads for your other pen name that writes historical romance, and then you have a pen name that's doing traffic ads, and that one's for I don't know fantasy romance, or actually those are pretty close, but let's say it's for I don't know Jack Reacher style thrillers. Don't run those on the same account. You should be running separate accounts for that. However, if the traffic ads and the sales ads are for same pen name, same content, same genre, that's actually great because I'll get to the cool thing that anybody can do now because it segues well with this question. So we've got the sales funnel, right? You've probably all seen like pictures of sales funnels. Possibly if you lived in corporate America, this is going to give you hives or something like that. The top of the sales funnel is it's like a giant scoop. Like think of sales funnels are scoops, and they're just trying to reach as many humans as possible. And then they winnow down the people till they get the right ones that are likely to buy. So the top of the sales funnel is the most humans that might be tangentially interested in what we're trying to sell, and then we're going to filter them down to get the people who actually buy. And so in Facebook, actually, Facebook actually has a visual for this when we create an ad. There, you can actually even see what the sales funnel looks like. Um, all right. Share, where'd my share screen button go? Zoom, what'd you do with me? Do me. All right. So when you go to create a campaign, you've actually got a sales funnel here. Actually, never mind the fact that the lead one actually shows a funnel. Awareness ads will show to anybody with a heartbeat. Traffic ads show people who are likely to click a link. So seeing an ad, moderate interest. Clicking the link, a little bit more interest, a little more value. Engagement, they sent you a message on Facebook or something like that. More interest, more valuable. Leads, they gave you their email address or filled out a form. They took like an actual action that required them to give something to you. Um, More value, more interest, less people. Each one of these are filtering down. App promotion, ignore that. That doesn't really fit into the standard sales funnel icon or idea. And then sales is our ideal conversion point. Most interest, they did the thing, they bought, least number of people. So, but there's also a value thing. Facebook understands that human beings who buy are a better indicator of who your audience is than humans who simply look at an ad. So if you're running sales ads for the exact same pen name, exact same content, exact same account as your traffic ads, it's actually great because it's priming Facebook to know who your audience is. If the sales ads are for say nonfiction, it's actually going to be showing your traffic ads to nonfiction readers more to fiction readers because it's like, oh, well, the real audience are these people here that are buying. So I'm going to show the traffic ads to them too, regardless of what you put in. So it's really all about content and pen name over anything else. So actually, I stopped the screen share, but you guys saw it on the screen. Leads is pretty far down that funnel, right? They're going to give you an email address. Any one of us can run a lead ad if we have a reader magnet. So if you say reader magnet is something more than just a prologue or a prelude. It's a full story, beginning, middle, and end that leads into hopefully, ideally, your best-selling series, right? Like you've got a reader magnet The events take place right before book one of your best-selling series, or maybe not right before. Like maybe you wrote dynastic romance. Well, this could be the parents' romance or something like that, and then book one is one of the kids. Who knows? Um, but it ties very tightly into your best-selling series. You write a reader magnet for that. You put it up on BookFunnel or Story Origin, and then you run a lead ad to BookFunnel or Story Origin, and that will actually work really well to prime the algorithm, the AI that now is picking who sees what ad for who your best customers are, and it'll make that work quite wonderfully. All right. Courtney asked if I can talk about retargeting an audience. Um, kind of, I mean, it's actually not any more complicated than what I showed with exclusions. But I remember when I did that excluding thing, and that audience of people who interacted first showed up in my the top box of who to show the ad to. That's actually how you do retargeting. So you build a custom audience of people who interacted with your page or your Instagram account, or you upload your mailing list, and then in the custom audiences box, you just put those audiences, and then it shows to them. I'll come back around that screen. I'm going to try and sally forth because you guys are pumping in a lot of questions here. I'm like losing ground. Um, hey, Jill, is there any chance you could bring me some water? I forgot to have water.
I was
Thank
gonna say, if you need a break, I'm gonna do a little commercial for you. I want everyone,
you.
not, don't look at my emails, sorry. We've got this beautiful Writing Wives book, Get Fluent in Facebook Ads. I found it really helpful and really commonsensical. Like, I don't know, they speak English in this book about about this stuff. So I'll pop this link in the chat, and I've got my book marketing boot camp coming up, and on the last day, the Sunday, Mallory's going to be speaking again. So you'll get a refresh, and I've already put in here the link to the book, some mindset flashcards that Jill sent over, and yes, join the boot camp and go even deeper. And then Jill is getting Mallory water, but Jill and I'm going to be sending out links about the intermediate ads modules you both are releasing. And I'll get a link from Jill and do a commercial for that next.
And in the questions, um, someone asked if it's possible to witness ads being put together. Jill mentioned that we have this in our school classrooms for free. Can I show that? Please, is that okay?
Yeah, do it. Do it.
Cool.
Please.
So the
I just
pictures,
showed.
I feel like a picture's worth 1,000 words. So we have this thing called, it's at skool.com, skool.com/cozy Facebook ad authors, or you can just search, go to school and search for easy Facebook ads for authors. You'll find this class. I think it's what's called. I forget. There's like a name for the whole thing. Anyway, you'll find us there. It's free. You can go to classrooms, and we've got like a whole bunch of things. Are your books ad ready? Why should you use them? Mindset. And then I walk through creatives, ad copy, and then this one is actually building the ad, the step by step. I explain best practices and that sort of thing. And then now what? Your ad's set up, and there's all these different videos. After the first 7 hours, the 3-5-7 rule, which is what to do on day 3, what to do on day 5, what to do on day 7. So that could be really helpful. I don't want to go through, like the whole setting up of ads here because it actually takes like an hour or more. And I've already been yipping now for 50 minutes. Do we just have an hour, or can I just keep going through all the questions?
You can keep going. I wanted to be able to give you breaks because I know you just hosted your lunch with Mal where you answered everyone else's questions. And y'all, I am in the school and love it. And there's a lot of take a pause, take a deep breath, regulate your nervous system breaks in there that I really appreciate because the more breaks I take and relaxed I am, the better I am at marketing. And let's pop the link to the school in the chat. Elizabeth is asking for it.
I think Jill can do that. I guess
Yeah,
she's already on
Jill,
it.
if you don't mind.
Just we have 2 schools. One's free, and one will be the one we're going to do the advanced, more intermediate, fluent Facebook ads. So I can put both.
Let's both. I want both.
Okay. Okay.
I feel like we're all beginners again, though, with ads. And having a beginner mindset, actually, I've been publishing for 10 years, and if I just rest on my laurels, I get bored, and also everything changes and I fail. So I have to
Yeah.
kind of mentally reboot. I actually just took Heather Hildenbrand has a goal, be the goal masterclass, and I just did her cutting exercise right before this. I was like, clear out all the old, clear out all the old. Y'all know I'm woo woo, so Heather, drop the link to that too. Everyone has something to drop. No,
You know, I really like the idea of like having a beginner mindset. That's actually one of the things that I've struggled when we do our Facebook ad course because we've always had a beginner and an advanced. And I'm like, I see people in the advanced course that should be taking the beginner course because things have changed. And I see people that um, probably could take the advanced course, but they're scared because they're like, I'm not advanced. So, but I love the idea of like always have a beginner mindset because yeah, every time I teach it, there's stuff in our beginner courses that I just learned like last month kind of thing that I'm sharing this new stuff. So I really like that.
and how many times have I learned that you can run my ads? Like
At least twice. At least twice.
probably like 6 times. And
I mean, yeah,
yeah.
memory does we none of us have perfect memories.
And the more I get into the marketing side, the better I write commercial fiction, right? So I want it to sell. And the better I am at actually baking in marketing and baking in the hooks in a really fun way. It actually can be really fun.
Yeah, it totally can.
If you're not burned out, if you're burned out, just go take a nap. Like
Yeah.
don't sign up for anything. Just go dark for a couple weeks. The world will not end. You might need to tap it out if you're into that, but then take a breath and then you'll be led to make the right decision and sign up for the right school.
Along those lines as well, you said like you need to take a break and regulate your nervous system. I recommend not doing an entire ad in one day. Do the creative work one day, and then do the actual in the ad system, punching buttons, plugging it all in the next day. Because the way the interface works with Facebook is you do all this obnoxious thinking about audiences, clicking lots of buttons, thinking about money, and then the creative is the last step. And most people are not in the right mindset to now make an image and think about headlines and good text after staring at this eye chart of Facebook Ad Manager for like the last hour. So do all your creative work one day, get it all done. Think about be in your story, be with your characters, and then the next day make the ad. And when the time comes to plug in all the stuff, you're like, hey, I've already got this. I just copy and paste. It's so easy. It makes the process significantly more approachable. And it's actually how I like to make ads for myself. I'll sit down and do creative one day or for clients, and the next day I'll actually go and like do all the tedious, annoying work in the system.
That's genius. I've never heard anyone say that, and I'm going to make everyone do that in the boot camp.
All right, perfect.
Because we do iterate. We do like
Mhm.
just find 5 images, find 5 copy, and then you put them together to make 25 ads. Boom.
Mhm.
But that is a creative. I actually love that part of marketing.
Yeah,
Because
it's
it
fun,
is so
isn't
creative.
it? Yeah, we get to think about like cool things our characters would say and their personalities and bringing all that stuff out. So yeah, it's much more enjoyable. All right, so Ingrid says, are static images or video ads more effective? And that really depends at sort of a macro level on the age of your audience. Older people tend to respond better to image ads. Younger people tend to respond better to video ads. In addition, if you want Instagram to show your ads, they kind of have to be video. Instagram almost never shows image ads, so you have to make video ads if you want them on Instagram. And like taking like contemporary romance, there are more women who read contemporary romance who are on Instagram than there are on Facebook now. It's actually shifted. So Instagram's actually the bigger platform for that, and so you have to have image ads to find them. Or sorry, you have to have video ads to get those people on Instagram because Instagram won't show image ads. So feel it out, and try both and see what works. And sometimes it's your audience that like I've tried like 47 reels and none of them work. Okay, it's probably your audience. They just don't respond to video. Sometimes it's one or the other. A video version of one ad might work better than an image ad. I always run both because I want to capture as many people as possible. And that's actually something that someone mentioned before. Like I want to find new people. I tried, entirely different mediums of ad to try to find those other people. Reels, video ads get more clicks and convert at a lower rate, though. That's worth noting. You will get more clicks, they'll convert at a lower rate, but they're oftentimes half the price. So if you like look at them, you're like, oh man, like this image ad, like I get like 15 pages read for every click. And this wait, so the image ad, yes, image ad, I get 15 pages read for every click, but this video only gives me 8 pages read for every click, but it's half the price. So it actually comes out in the wash. So they can be, they're still really good ads. And that's also something you can do to really sort of like combat increasing cost per click at this time of year, because this is the most expensive time of year. Well, American Thanksgiving is the most expensive time of year to run ads. This is the second most expensive time of year to run ads. And so reels are a great way of making your ads cost less, but while also getting really good exposure and building awareness. All right, Laura says, hi Mel, I just started running a sales ad to a book funnel page with a free book to get pixel data, like you talked about recently on Lunch with Mal. Although I set my custom domain, tested the pixel, and changed the subscribe event to purchase for the pixel on the book funnel page, I'm just not getting conversions showing for the ad, but I'm getting plenty of download signups. Are there any common pitfalls I'm missing, or maybe a glitch? That sounds like a glitch. And that idea of like experimenting with using sales ads to book funnel is something I just came up on them with Lunch Mail. My recommended process is to run a lead ad, and your conversion event on book funnel when you pick from the dropdown should be lead. It's so what I would really recommend doing is actually reaching out to book funnel. They have an astoundingly good support team, and they can actually look at the message they send to Facebook and what Facebook sends back to know why that lead's not getting through. I would have to guess and then try something and then wait and see if it worked and then try something else. Whereas book funnel could actually like dig into it and see what's actually working. So that's what I recommend doing. EA Adams says, does excessive rejection still jeopardize your account? That used to be a thing we worried about. I've actually never worried about that. That example I gave from the person who had hundreds of rejected ads was from years ago. And it's other things that you do that can cause your account to get shut down. I've never seen, maybe there's a threshold that's in like the tens of thousands of rejected ads or something like that, but no ad and no account I've ever worked with has ever been shut down. And I'm always pushing the boundaries. With one exception, there was one exception. It was an author who wrote a book about an online dating service, and the online dating service was called WriteMatch.com. And WriteMatch.com is a pirate scam site. So she didn't know that. I didn't think to check it because it wasn't listed anywhere. When I saw her book, you had to actually no, it was at the bottom of the blurb. I just didn't read that part of the blurb. I should have checked it. I'm much more careful about that now. So because it looked to Facebook like we were advertising a scam dating app, that account got shut down and we were never able to get it back. But that's the only thing I've ever had happen that actually got an account shut down. There are risky things like running ads that mention political positions during election periods. But I've just seen ads get rejected for that, never shut down. But that's sort of along the lines of risky things. But it's usually you got to do something like actually like legally questionable for Facebook to shut the whole account down, ad account down. The one other exception is if you're running more than one profile. You should only ever have one Facebook profile, like the thing where you type the profile is where you type in your email address and password to log in. That's your profile. It's kind of hard to tell because pages look so much like profiles now that it feels kind of blurry sometimes for what's what. But if you have more than one profile, they can actually just shut everything down. But those are the only two scenarios where I've actually seen people completely lose their ad accounts. Actually, I think there was one more. I had to also do some sort of confusion like that.
Yeah, I had a friend who had a book named after a martial arts move called Naked Choke. Pretty hardcore. And
Yeah.
she got her ads account shut down. But I also think she didn't want to run ads. So subconsciously, she was like, F this, and got it shut down and then was like, well, I'll never run ads. And just didn't want to run ads. So
that could be it, yeah.
Because
there could also be some other factor that was in the mix.
It could have been, yeah. So as a spicy author, I am just careful about my naughty dick butt sex books. And so,
just like, make sure you tuck it a little deeper into the ad so people don't encounter that right away.
Okay, I will work on my tuck. Sorry.
Jill, I don't know.
Wow, Mal, you stepped in that one.
I didn't mean to.
I'm
was
terrible.
Innocent.
No, I'm a terrible person. Innocent. I'm going to go stand in the corner for a minute.
Courtney says, I find Instagram does not sell books for people. Facebook is good. What am I missing? I guess first I would love to learn how you came up with how you got that assessment. Came up with makes it sound like I doubt you. I don't doubt you. I'm curious, like what was involved. Like, did you run just Instagram ads and just Facebook ads, and then you separate attribution links, and the Instagram ones didn't convert? Is it that Facebook just doesn't show them that much? I would kind of need to know a little bit more data to really dig into why that could be. It could just be that the age group of people on Instagram is less interested in what you're writing. That's possible. There is sort of like an overall age difference. Facebook has an older group of people on it. Instagram has a younger group of people on it. Different ages of people do like different books, so that could be a factor as well. Okay, so just started my Shopify store ads, and I've selected sales as the triggering action. As a pixel installed, but I'm not getting conversions, and it's expensive. What sort of creative should I be using for a bundle of books? PNR Steamy. So you made a sales ad and you pick purchase as your triggering action, right? Because purchase is the event that that I'm going to share my screen so we can be clear on what I'm talking about. So it's not don't want to be fuzzy. So sales is the campaign objective, because the campaign objective that you pick changes what your conversion metric can be. So click continue, and we'll skip through to the new sales ad set. So so this is what the conversion area looks like for a sales ad. First thing you want to do is, a lot of people have this new default now where it's website and calls. You scroll down, click single, click website, so that the conversion is just website. There's also one that's like website. Oh, they might have got rid of it. Good. This account doesn't show it. They used to have one called website and shop, which wasn't your Shopify shop. It was a Facebook store, and that could mess things up too. So make sure that your conversion location, first off, is just website. Maximize number of conversions is what you want. You'll need to pick your pixel. And then your conversion event should be purchase. So I don't think sale is even an option. Yeah, sale's not an option. Okay, good. So you didn't pick sale. So this is how it should be set up, and it should work. If it's not working at all, it could be that something's not set up properly on the Shopify side. And that is sort of is a larger topic that I think you almost need to like just reach out to Shopify for and say like, hey, is everything set up properly here? Did I miss something? All of I'm currently not running my own Shopify site. All the Shopify sites I currently have access to are customer ones, so I can't go in and show you. But yeah, I would actually reach out to Shopify. That being said, when you're starting out with Facebook ads running to Shopify, you're probably going to pay $20 to $30 per conversion, because Facebook is still learning who your audience is and figuring out who it is. Usually when you first start with Shopify, you can't run profitable Facebook ads. It takes a couple of weeks to really start to help train Facebook into who your audience really is. It also depends like how long your ad account's been running for, if you've been running lead ads at all in the past, like how primed it is to know who your audience is. A brand new one will take weeks to actually convert at a profitable rate, which is unfortunate because it can be pretty expensive. And you also have to start Shopify ads at least $20 a day. Anything less than that, you're never going to show your ads to enough human beings to actually get it to convert. That being said, there is one other thing. We'll use this ad one here. It does depend a bit on your audience too, like what some of these numbers will be. But when you're running, for those of you who have evidence for when you're running a Shopify ad, your result is actually per conversion. It's actually kind of cool. It takes a lot of the guesswork out. If it says $10 per result, that means $10 to make a sale. And if you're selling a $25 book bundle, you just made $15. If it says $30 per result and you're selling said $25 book bundle, you just lost $5. But also you can oftentimes make it up in upsells. So upsells on your Shopify website are really important. Like someone goes to checkout and you're like, hey, for $5 more, add the audiobook, or I'll give you 10% off on bundle 2 or something like that. That's usually where you can kind of make your profit by upping your cart checkout dollar amount versus just trying to sell more of just the one thing. It can also, just as a side note, be your price point. Maybe you've done like a mega bundle and you've got like 9 books in there, and you're like, well, I would sell all of these books for $7 each on Facebook. So 9 times 7 is, oh God, I don't have to do math in my head right in front of people. $63, yeah. is you're like, I'm gonna like make it $55, or I'll make it $50 and give a deal or something like that. Um, and no one's gonna spend that much money from a new author. So what you might want to do, or new to them author, I should say, is like I'll do like test a 1 through 3, test a 1 through 5. Do different tests at different price points to try and figure out which one will work. So that could be a factor as well. But on the Facebook side, aside from just what's my cost per result, one thing that you really want to do is you want to add some other columns in here. So I'm going to choose, I've got some added here already, but I need to add one more. So to add more columns, you click columns, usually probably say performance, not Mal, and you scroll down and choose customize columns. That sounds more patronizing than meant it to be. It's a joke I tell, so I'm going to say Mal. You probably knew that. Anyway, so you go in here, you customize your columns. You're going to want to add result rate is something that I think you should always add. It's good to have. Cost per outbound click is really good to have on lead ads and on sales ads because the default system doesn't show you what you're paying per click. So you want to choose cost per outbound click. And you can just search for these things. So you can just search for like and then find cost per outbound click. Outbound click is really important because if you just do cost per click, it could be they clicked on your profile, they clicked on comments, they clicked on anything. You want cost per outbound click. And then the other thing you want is CPM. CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions. And I'm going to put that right by my result rate. You can actually drag around the order in here too. And I'll save. And now I'll have cost per 1,000 impressions. Now, on a traffic ad, your cost per 1,000 impressions is cheap. Like this one's $4.47 to show this ad to 1,000 people. On a sales ad, it's going to be $60 or more. It might be less, but they average around $60. And that's because, remember, sales ads are lower on the funnel. Facebook is showing them to fewer people because there's all these people here, they're just looky-loos. They never buy anything. So Facebook doesn't even bother showing the sales ads to them. They show the sales ads to people who are much more known to buy things and convert. It's a smaller group of people. There's fewer of them. It costs more money to reach them. If you're running a sales ad and you see your CPM up over $100, we got to work on your targeting, or the ad's not appealing enough because it's just costing you way too much money to actually get your ad shown to enough people. So that's one of the biggest things. You could have a crazy high CPM and you're actually just not getting that many clicks. And because you're not getting many clicks, you're just not going to get that many conversions because there aren't that many. Oh, actually, there's another column we need to turn on too. We need to turn on outbound clicks as well. When you're running a sales ad or a lead ad, already had it on, good. Because those ads don't even show you how many clicks you're getting. So if you turn on, where is it? There's so many, oh, here it's at the end. So maybe you're running your ad and you actually turn outbound clicks, and you're like, I've only got 17 clicks or something like that. That would be the reason why you're not converting. So we need to get a lower CPM. Cost per CPM kind of stands for cost per mil meaning 1,000. We're going with the Latin meaning for mil here. So you got to get that CPM down so your ad shows to more people, which will ultimately get your cost per outbound click down, and then you're going to get more outbound clicks, and that's going to help the system learn. Because Facebook needs to get about 10 or so conversions on a sales ad before it really starts to learn who it needs to show to. So it's one of those things that's hampering you. It could be the price is too high, maybe the ad copy isn't working quite right, or just for whatever reason the targeting just has a crazy high CPM. Cool little side note, by the way, and this might be hitting you because you're doing a bundle. You're like, I'm going to put all the book covers on the ad. For reasons that make zero sense to me, if an ad shows more than one book cover, it just doesn't work. It seems like it should be like the opposite, right? You're like, people love reading series. I'm about to sell you a bundle. I'm going to show you all my cool book covers. Clearly that would work, and it never works. I keep trying it. I keep banging my head against the wall. I'm like, this should work. And I keep doing it. I see clients do it. It never works. So don't put it could literally just be that you have multiple book covers on your image. It's crazy. All right. T. Martin says I have a BookBub starting December 21st. I run an ad for the week and beyond. I mentioned someone else asked that about a BookBub, and the answer is yes. But you might not. I would recommend not mentioning price because your price is likely to change in there. Facebook had step one, or sorry, I called you Lee Savino. Just combined your first and last name for you there in case you never had that before.
I love it. The AI always wants to call me Lisa Vino.
Oh, really?
Lisa
Lisa,
Fino. That's how I'll show up in the captions. I'm like, well, I have an alt pen name,
there you go.
logo, giant bottle of wine, giant glass of wine.
You get a bottle of, yeah. That was a Freudian slip there. We got it. All right. Camera. Oh my God. I'm like still losing ground on the comments, you people. I can keep going. I'm strong. Let's roll. Let's do this. Relooking at placement based upon you saying not to show the marketplace or audience network. I noticed the allow limited spend to excluded placement checkbox. Should that be checked, not checked? And what is it? I just stopped my share and now we're going back in. All right. So for those of you who are like, what the heck are we talking about here? We'll do the show and tell. So at the ad set level, at the very bottom, we choose our placements. The default is Advantage Plus. We turn our brains off. Facebook chooses for us. Bad move. We don't want to do that. You always want to choose manual placements. Sometimes you got to like mouse over stuff to get a little edit link before you can actually choose manual placements. They don't show it to you right away. Old school, by the way, was Facebook feed only. That's kind of bad juju these days. The other placements do convert, and that's very provable. So you do want to pick a lot of the placements. We never choose Facebook Marketplace. It's garbage. I could talk for half an hour on that. And then if it's a video ad, you leave the Reels placements on. If it's not a video ad, you turn them off. The reason why is if you show a still image ad in the Reels feeds, people click on it thinking they just need to click it to make it play, and then they go to your page. You're like, where the hell am I? They click back and they leave. Like it's sort of a confusing thing, and we tested that. We found that to be pretty true. And then the other one you always turn off is apps and sites, because this is like if you're playing some random free game on your iPad or iPhone or what have you, and then you die and you've got to watch a stupid video or something like that before you can play again. That's actually like this system is what powers those. There's a couple of these different broad ad systems, and they power all that. Some people, well, I see it here. No, I don't. All right. Some people are getting an option right below this that says include, what was the word? Yeah, allow limited spend to excluded placement checkbox. And it's checked by default. So check for a checkbox down here that says that it's checked. Because what it will do is it will say like, hey, I'm going to take 20% of your money and I'm going to put it into these places you told me not to put it. So if you do see that, uncheck it. Because it is bad juju. Do you run 2 ads a month? This is Rogue London. Do you have the capability to edit if it's not working? Yeah, absolutely. I always edit my ads and try different things with them that are not working. I don't always make new ads. I'll try like changing audience or pulling out maybe a weak headline that I was kind of on the fence about or something like that. Usually I'm changing audiences, or I'll try switching the ad between the Advantage Plus audience and the original system audience, that sort of thing. But yeah, if an ad's like not working, you're not going to lose anything for editing it. If the ad is working, then obviously don't, because if you touch it, you'll break it, kind of thing. If it's on the fence, I'm kind of like, what do I have to lose? Like that's sort of like a decision I make it at the time. But if an ad's like doing relatively well, and I want to try something else, I'll make a new ad. If it's meh, then I'll mess with that existing ad. And if nothing works, then I always make it. Like if I try a couple different things and this ad just doesn't want to work no matter what, then I make a new one. And actually, at that point, I'll almost always make a new campaign as well, because there's some evidence that Facebook's ad sets within a campaign sort of share learning across them as well. So if you're making a new ad set that doesn't work, and you've done it a couple times, make a whole new campaign, start from scratch. All right. Carmen is answering a question that I think I asked before that I don't have the context for, but I think she's got her own answer there. Kate says, because I'm old school with ads and have control issues with my targets, have you experimented with running ads with Advantage Plus audience and giving it suggestions rather than original audience? Yep, I do that all the time. Pretty much anytime I run Advantage Plus, I still give it the suggestions. I'll just gonna leave my screen share on at this point, I think. I don't know why I keep turning it off. Now that I've gone into the show and tell phase, it's just where we live. All right, so we're gonna make a whole new shiny traffic ad. And I'm being visited by a cat. You can see her tail, I think. Oh, yeah, don't knock my keyboard off my desk. That would be bad. All right. Oh, she's giving me this glare right now. You're so cute. Okay, focus now, focus. By the way, speaking of check marks that just magically get turned on and share your money in different places, when you create a new campaign, uncheck this one, because otherwise shares stuff. All right. So going to go down here to audience control. So just in case anyone is not familiar, we talk about Advantage Plus audience and original audience. Advantage Plus is where like it says like audience suggestion. Generally, Advantage Plus audiences are, you can tell because there's two boxes for audience. Sales ads aren't like that. There's one box either way. But the suggestion sort of thing is what gives it away. Whereas original audience combines into one box, and then your audience targeting is less of a suggestion. It's still kind of a suggestion, but it's less of a suggestion. So one of the things that's interesting though about Advantage Plus audience is that everything in here is a suggestion, and you'll realize that age and gender is also a suggestion. So if you're running Advantage Plus and you like set this to like, I'm writing, I don't know, PWM or something like that. Sorry, PWF, not PWM. And I'm going to pick 40-year-old women because, it's paranormal women's fiction. And then you're going to choose like, I don't know, maybe you got a romance angle, you choose paranormal romance. Normal. Helps if you spell that right. So you've picked all this. All of this is a suggestion. This ad could show to men who've never read a book in their lives. Not saying that about men, just a group of men who've never read a book in their lives. Not saying all men fall into that category. And you can actually find that, by the way, once an ad's running, you can click this little view charts thing here, and you can actually, at the bottom, it will show you what genders your ads are showing. Under this new system, it can totally ignore the gender you pick and show your ad to the wrong gender. So okay, I was just double checking the question because I kind of wandered off here. So I do this all the time, and then I'll do a version that uses the original audience system, and then I'll do a broad one. I do it like whenever I make ads, I make like most of the permutations. I use each one gets a different Amazon attribution link, and I measure each one because you'll get different results all the time with every ad, every audience, every book cover, every tagline. It's all a unique combination. So this is actually one of the big changes. You don't know anything going in. You have to test the options, the permutations, and see what works better. It's difficult if you're on a very limited budget because that means you kind of test them one at a time. But and you'll probably find you'll be like, man, every now and then this thing works, but this like 90% of the time this thing works. So for you, you're going to find the scenario that works for you. But when it stops working, test those scenarios that didn't used to work because its chances are something's changed behind the scenes and you need to try something different. And it could be the thing that never used to work is now the thing that works great. So that's my advice there. However, if you use this new system, which is the default now, by the way, the Advantage Plus targeting is the default. It's what everybody has unless you deliberately go and check that little. Actually, the link can look like this, switch to original audience options, or it could be a button that says further limit the reach of my ads. It's like such negatively targeted. Like it's called a dark pattern that they're using to try and get you to use the new system. But they have to leave the old system in place because for certain audiences, it's what works. Like you're selling bras, right? You got pictures of women in bras. You can't use this new system that may show your ads to men. Your ads are going to exclusively show to men in no time because they're going to click on boobs, right? I mean, lots of us click on boobs too, but we're more likely to buy a bra. So they leave the old system in there because the new system doesn't work for everybody. But one of the things that they've sort of shoehorned into the new system is this thing called value rules. It lives up here in the conversion section for reasons that make no sense to me. Okay, they make some sense to me. And you can make these value rules. So I've got one here called fewer men, but we'll just create a new one, create a rule set. And like, so say you're writing romance, but you want to test out this new system, but you don't want your ads showing to men because they don't convert. So I can choose gender, I can choose men, and I can say decrease bid by 90%, which means I'm like, say if on average my ads tend to like get about a 30 cent CPC, for men, I'm only willing to go to like 3 cents, right? Which means they're just never going to show to men. So I'll choose decrease bid by 90%. You can't go to 100. You can just do 90. And then I'll just say like, no boys allowed.
I love this so much. I did not know. I need to apply this to my Facebook feed. Like,
unfortunately, also, you can't do that in your Facebook feed. But
also, possibly my life.
Fair. So now you can do that. and that makes it a lot safer to use the new system. You can also do age ranges. Like maybe you're like, you've got this one ad and you go and I don't have any ads running in this account. This is like my random test account. Okay, this one actually been running for a bit. So this is where you'll see, so you saw actually, for those of you who knew, I moused over the ad and I got this little link that says charts. And it's the same thing as clicking the chart button when I'm editing the ad. You can kind of see come to the same place. All right, I scroll down here. And this ad is mainly showing to men, and most of them are 65 plus. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not getting great conversion on this ad. Maybe these younger folks would actually convert better and buy my book more. But I'm using the new targeting system, and I've told it not to show to 65 plus, but Facebook's ignoring me. Well, value rules are there to save the day there as well, because I could go to apply a rule set, create a new rule set, and I could say age, I could say 65 plus, and I could say decrease bid by maybe I'm like, I want some of them. So maybe I say decrease bid by 50%. Maybe I say 90%. I want to do a test completely excluding them. So these two things are kind of like the main things you can play around with here that can be fairly useful. So that's something to play with, but it's a really good tool that we have now to allow us to get a little more granularity. All right. Ganuli says, what are your best tips for marketing a no-spice romantasy series with allies to lovers to enemies to lovers? Dang. I mean, romantasy is huge with younger audiences, so I would go video for that for sure. And video ads are like a whole wide host of things work with video ads. They can be like page flip ads, literally still work, or they could be like a scene, just a still image with text changing over top of it, or you can do a full-fledged video ad. All of them work to play with different ideas. One of the things you definitely want to do is there's readers out there who want no spice, closed door, totally clean, whatever it is. Say that in your ad, front and center, headline, text on the ad, in your description, like everything, so that those clean readers are going to see that and be like, thank goodness, finally, I'm not stuck in a Lee Savino butt sex book that I didn't mean to want her into. I get my clean story, and that's going to be that's good. It's going to be good. If it's Christian, say Christian. If it's halal, I don't think a book could be halal. I could be wrong about that. An ebook could be. No, I guess an ebook can't be. Never mind. There's a whole segue about like apparently if there's variations of both, like someone else probably knows this better than me, but like certain religions where like you can't use any technology on the holy day, like you can't even press an elevator button. So in certain places, elevators just constantly go up and down and open all the doors, so you're not touching anything. So I don't know how I wanted off there. I have an ADHD brain. I've been on this topic for a while.
That's fine. I was just gonna make a kosher dick joke, so you spared me that. I will move on.
Did you just make the kosher dick joke?
I did.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. So it could be. So if it is like any of those things, though, like it'll appeal to this religious group, to this group of people who want like super clean things. Say that. Be very upfront about it. Because one, you want to filter out the people who only want Lee Savino books, and you want to filter out and pull in. So always be explicit with that. That's true for everybody. Your ads need to filter out as much as they pull in. And I think romantasy, I think video is definitely going to be the way to go. Your audience is on Instagram. And so you want to be running video ads for that. I mean, your audience is also on Facebook, but the bulk of your audience is on Instagram. And I would just target wide. There's not, and by wide, I mean like go broad with who you're choosing. This is one of my actual active ads. Let's just find a random new one I was monkeying around in here. So you're going to want romantic fantasy is a good target. And I think there's also, no, I guess that's the best one these days. If it has any sci-fi stuff, you can put science fantasy in there as well. Like Star Wars is science fantasy. It's got space wizards. And you got 4 million people. That's a big audience. You could also do paranormal romance, depending on like what some of your subgenres, sub and your tropes might be. But romantic fantasy should be. There's also fantasy books could also apply. That's another target. You can always use that one too. Notice, by the way, I don't ever do the thing anymore where we do crazy stuff like Kindle. I say also match on Kindle. I I never do that anymore because 85% of all books are sold on Amazon, whether they're Kindle or not. Like it doesn't matter. People know the books are sold on Amazon. I don't need to limit myself and only show books to people on Amazon. And these are already publications literature categories. So I know these people are already readers. If I, for some reason, was throwing in urban fantasy, now I've got an entertainment media category. And if I'm trying to be like, if I'm doing a test where I like, well, I want to make like a tightly focused audience, this one could be cause problems because this might be people who just watched Buffy and never picked up a fantasy book in their life or something like that. So then I might say define further, and I would just pick like novel and fiction books. This is the year of the paperback anyway, right? Like, or the year of the return of the paperback at least. I don't care how they read. I got my books in all the formats, so I just care that they read books. If I have audiobooks, I would add audiobooks into this also match thing. But if I was just targeting these, I would only do that. That's how I do more targeted ads now. But a lot of times I go pretty broad. Like I run a lot of ads these days where I put nothing in here, and I'm really just picking, age groups and genders. Because like, for example, if you're writing contemporary romance, like half of the women in North America read contemporary romance. So it's like you have a 50-50 chance of getting a romance reader without picking anything. So it's easier to go broad. The more niche your writing is, the more likely you are, by the way, to start to need to use detailed targeting. As a final side note on this, I'm going to switch to original audience options, even though I'm currently losing the option to switch back. Oh no, this time it gave me the option to switch back. Thanks, Facebook, for being super consistent. I appreciate that. Even if you switch to the original audience options where you get more granular control, you'll notice there's this little eye over top of the detailed targeting. It says, we may deliver ads beyond your audience for eligible ad objectives if it's likely to improve performance. Traffic ads with clicks are an eligible ad objective. No matter what you do, Facebook will eventually show your ad to whoever they want to. So that's why earlier on, I'm like, hey, we need to, your ad needs to be super clear that's a book and it needs to filter out. Okay, what's your take? So Rosalind said, what's your take on meta so we can optimize for landing page views? I answered that, so we're good there. Like half an hour ago. I'm guessing you guys got enough of the answer. If you still need more details on that, post another comment. How do you know when to give up on an ad? That's a fairly complicated question. There's a lot of nuance into the actual analysis of an ad and what's working and what's not. Watch these videos. Easy Facebook ads for authors. Watch the videos on the first 24 hours, the 357 rule, and Amazon attribution data. It takes a bit of time. I walk through with some pictures and everything too. Actually, maybe I do use pictures here. I used AI to make a PowerPoint for me in these because I hate making PowerPoints. So AI did it for me. I get through like how to know when an ad is not working. And I have a super simple method. It involves using Amazon attribution data and just there's a certain number of pages read per click that you want to get to. And if you're above that, you're good. If you're below that, the ad might be savable. It might not be. The number, by the way, is on average is about 10 pages read per click. So if you're getting 15 pages read per click and you have a 3-book series with good read through, you're probably profitable. If you're getting 45 pages read per click, you're making money. If you're getting 2 pages read per click, the ad is not working. And I get into that in a lot more detail in there. I launched the ads in late September and died in early December. That's actually, so that's what Monica says. That's actually a really long run for ads these days. Well done. Making more ads. That's actually an important mindset thing. Every ad fails. Every ad. The best ad maker in the world makes an ad. It's killer. It makes them $1 million. It will eventually fail and stop working. It doesn't mean that they sucked. When you make an ad that runs for 2 weeks and does great and then stops working, that doesn't mean you sucked. It just means it's time to make a new ad. Every ad fails. When an ad fails, you're not a failure. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means the ad did what it was expected to do. We all knew the ad was going to stop working. You knew the ad was going to stop working eventually. It's okay. So give yourself permission to be like, hey, made an ad and it worked. And that's awesome. And now it doesn't work. I need to turn it off because that's what you do with ads that don't work. And that's just the life cycle of an ad. It's not a bad thing. So I don't want you to feel like, I don't know how to do this because my ad stopped working. Everyone's ad stopped working eventually. You need to New ads. I actually say that to sort of like start to hit like a good ongoing stride, you actually need about 6 ads that are working well. It's roughly like the threshold because every ad will ebb and flow a bit. So if you have just one ad and it ebbs and flows, well, sometimes the ebb is like flatline. But if you have 6 of them and one of them flatlines for 3 days, but the other 5 are doing well, that's okay. So every ad fluctuates too. Like my ads, I have ads that flatline and then come back on their own, and there we go. But I have enough of them running that the average is good, and I'm constantly pruning out the ones that are underperforming, so my average goes up. When doing reel style ads, Jillian says, "What's the best? Is it the best practice to only include video ads in the ad set? How many would you include in one ad set?" Yeah, if you can mix, you can put still image and video ads together. I would say still image, but that's kind of redundant. You can put image and video ads together in the same ad, or images and videos together in the same ad. But Facebook tends to prefer the video and never show the image one, so I always keep them separate. Also, if you use them both, you lose some of the control over cropping, and you can have the video or the image get cropped in weird ways at different placements. So I'm very focused. One ad, an ad for video, an ad for image, and only ever one. Using more than one piece of creative in your ads these days is the only way to really do it. Well, you can do it in flexible ads, but the reporting is deeply broken for flexible ads, and most people only have them if they choose sales. Dynamic creative allows you to use more than one. You can mix and match up to 10 images and videos in one ad, but Facebook runs all of the AI stuff on dynamic creative, and you can't turn it off. So things like some random music track playing, could be added. They can change the text even and stuff like that. And you can't actually see what they're doing, and you can't turn it off. So I recommend against dynamic creative, only standard creative, and only one image or one video per ad. That gives you the most control right now. That could change in the future, but right now that's how I'm doing it. Jennifer says, "Do you recommend putting the blurb of the book in the text or an excerpt from the book? I assume these would help the algorithm know what the book is about." So I don't use the blurb anywhere because I want my storytelling, my advertising storytelling to be progressive. So I'm not just repeating the same thing. I want to share different information at different times and lead them through sort of a progression. However, it is good for telling that what your book's about. So I do that sort of thing in the description, but I don't use the blurb. I'm much more targeted. I'll like a bullet list of tropes and stuff like that in the description. The excerpt from your book, 9 times out of 10, your book's excerpt will outperform anything else in the primary text box. And it's the product, right? That's one of the things when you think about like everything else, like the book cover, well, it is the cover of your product. It's not really the product of that you're selling. You're selling the prose. So your prose needs to be featured in your ad. And if your first chapter has a really strong opening and a good hook at the end, your first chapter might be your best ad copy. There is some evidence that suggests that now that AI is having to read everything, that a full first chapter can be too much because it might not process that much text, and then it doesn't read your description or doesn't read your headlines. So kind of the rule of thumb right now is to keep it shorter, maybe under 500 words for your excerpt. So find something that is interesting at the beginning and ends on a good hook, or like use the meet cute if it's romance, because then you get both characters in there, something like that. But yeah, prose is your best option for your excerpt, for your primary text always. Okay, not always. I did say 10% of the time other stuff works. The other thing that does work best is a review that isn't just, "This book kept me reading all night. If you want a great fantasy book, read this." If the review is, "I love, these 2 characters, their romance was amazing, heartbreak was gut-wrenching. I was with them when they finally pulled it off or got the win." And then, if it's, I don't know, let's say it's Romantasy, and then they the ending with the evil queen was amazing, or something like things like loaded with tropes and like actual description of the story. Those are great reviews if you have them, but don't use just like super generic reviews that can apply to any books. Those don't work. But that's the other 10%. It's an excerpt or it's a review from a reader that's like actually discussing the content of your book in a way that's loaded with tropes and genre stuff. All right, what kind of craze worked for contemporary romance? Do you have any examples? It's Manchest. It's still Manchest. but if it's billionaire romance, there better be a suit and tie over that chest. Like, obviously,
But
use the correct
just the suit jacket, no button-down shirt. It's so weird.
Yeah, that actually works exceptionally well.
It works amazingly well. If you saw somebody wearing that walking towards you, you'd think they were deranged.
It'd
I'm like,
be such a douchebag if they did that.
where is your shirt? And yet, like, it is our number one selling. It was a book one, but Billionaire Werewolf just taken off the tie, no shirt already, but the suit jacket, and it sells so much. So,
yeah, it's because the interesting thing is like the man chest can tell you so much about the story. Like is he pulling off the tie? Well, now we know it's spicy. You know, is he standing there with his tie still on, his arms are crossed? We know it's going to be more. It's probably more dominant, maybe a little bit less spicy. Does he have tattoos? It's probably actually mafia. You know, like there's it's a ridiculous amount of information that can be conveyed. Is there a woman's hands coming over, like grabbing at his pecs, like tells us heat level. It's like it has the most utility. That man chest is just fabulous. And if you do use a couple, make sure that the man is the focus of the image and not the woman. It tends to not work as well if the woman's the focus of the image. And the reason why is the man's the fantasy, right? So he needs to be the focus. But also, you know, the more steamy and enticing the ad image is, the more your ad also needs to scream book so that it doesn't mislearn and just target people who are horny all the time, which are, I mean, with women, they're probably reading books because they're horny, so we're probably okay. But men watch porn, women read romance. I mean, there's a crossover. It's two bell curves. There's overlap.
Where do we find that in the ad manager? Just curious. Horny reader.
The horniness level of the person. You know, Facebook probably knows how horny anybody
suppressed
is.
person.
Facebook should have a horniness gauge that we can use. Like, I want the horniness.
It's true though. Our biggest sales states in the store are the flyover states. I'm like, these women in Kansas are desperate and we are here for them.
I love it. T. Martin says, should we not link to the Amazon page on that? That's exactly where you should link. But you need to use an Amazon attribution link that's there. Our free school has the information on how to set up Amazon attribution links. Should we be using lookalike audiences? Yeah, Jill answered that one. I don't recommend. Oh, if she gets this far, eventually, when she eventually gets this far, Jill had faith in me. Yeah, lookalike audiences. Like, think about. Let's go back to like who's Facebook's biggest client. You know, it's Lexus, it's Amazon. Well, it's just on Amazon. But it's like, I don't know, it's Honda, it's Apple, it's LG trying to sell me a new washing machine, like whatever it is. Those are the biggest audience. When you think about it, like all these big companies selling tons of stuff, what do they need to know? They need to know how much money you make. They need to know where you live. Are you college educated? Do you rent? Do you own? Do you have kids? Are you still in school? All these things. Those are your primary factors in buying. You know, did you just buy a house and you posted on Facebook? Cool. Now Facebook knows you just bought a house. LG's definitely hitting you up to sell you a washing machine, right? Like that's the main information. Lookalike audiences. This is look. Can you see my screen? This is all that stuff in lookalike audiences, and then like I don't know, the thickness of my phone is everything else. Like the lookalike audiences don't even care if people read books. That being said, there are some like general demographics that probably apply to different readers. So they're not the worst thing in the world, but they're not better than anything else. I think for what we sell, we don't have a lot of socioeconomic, ethnic, education level stuff, money making level stuff involved in our people who read our books. Our books are generally appreciated by people of all types, or we should hopefully we're making our books appreciable by people of all types. So lookalike audiences don't help us a lot. Now, for some people, I don't know, like if you're really leaning into some like regional tropes or something like that, maybe they could work because then maybe you're more likely to get the people from that region who really like that by picking certain things, but it's generally not. If you're writing contemporary romance or thriller, well, half of all people read one of those two genres. Half of all readers read one of those two genres. So it's like it's a coin toss. So they don't hurt as much when you're writing these massive genres. So you might not notice that they're not actually working. So, but like a lookalike audience by default is like 1% of the population. It's the 1% of the population most like the thing is being compared to, which in the United States is like 3 million people. So if I'm writing a contemporary romance that could potentially appeal to 20 million women who read contemporary romance, why would I limit myself to just 3 million people? It's not a lot of, it doesn't make a lot of sense. If I'm selling, brand new, Lamborghinis, lookalike audiences make a ton of sense because there's all these other factors about lifestyle and money and all sorts of things that apply to that. But we're selling something that costs less than a cup of coffee, so that stuff doesn't really matter. Lincoln says, can you give us examples of that? Not looking like ads. Oh, context. Thank you. Sometimes when people start answering the questions later in the chat, I'm like, I have no idea what I was talking about. Yeah, so like an ad, it's gonna have like the KU logo on it. It's gonna say like available on Amazon. It's gonna have, I don't know, it's gonna have like all the information in the picture. And when Facebook first opened up the ad platform, you could have zero text on your ad. They allowed no text on the ad at all because regular people were posting pictures of their cats and the food they were about to eat, right? No text was being posted by regular people. So if you saw text on an ad, or on an image on Facebook, it was obviously an ad. Over time, regular people have switched to posting images with text on them a lot, aka memes, and Facebook loosened the restriction as it became more common. But there's still a difference between a meme and something that looks like an ad that you would see on the sidebar of a website, right? Because that's trying to get all the information on the picture. And that's the thing I was doing back in 2016 when I was making ads the wrong way. That was the biggest failing. I was trying to make it look like a picture in a magazine or something like that, where all the information was there in the picture, forgetting I have 3 pieces of text around that picture where I can provide additional information. And now it's like, there should be text on your image and it should look like a meme. It should look like a screenshot from TikTok, something like that. Like it's got to look like people's regular feeds, but also be an ad. And that's what you want to do. You want to make it look like anything else in someone's Facebook feed. Yuli says, if I have a cool scene from 2 side characters, should I use that over scenes from main characters? No, that's fine. I would totally, well, I guess it depends a bit on what you write. Would it mess up my ratings? No, it wouldn't mess up your ratings. You just have to make sure that those 2 side characters convey all the right tropes and that there's no potential for disappointment when someone grabs the book and doesn't encounter those people right away. It's all about setting expectations. If you misset the expectations, then you could have problems. I like Kate's typewriter bag too. It's super cute. Like I've eyed that a couple times. Like I have actually, you know what? I have mine's not like writerly, but this is my Kate Spade purse that I have here. It's a little flower pot in it.
That's awesome.
Currently the strap is inside, but yeah, it's mine.
It actually is a terrible purse. It's
a terrible purse too.
Oh yeah, I took it because my friend actually had it and sold it to me because she had another one she liked better. And I took it on the plane to go home and I was like, I can't fit my hand at the top. But
really?
Yeah, it's like I had like aspirin in there and I'm like, ah. So I just,
Yep, I feel that. My purse does not fit very much stuff in it at all. It's like it can be like if I had an iPhone Max Pro Max, it would not come close to fitting into that purse.
Yeah, I can't fit my books in there. Like, come on, what do you think? I need like a boat bag.
It looks great though.
Yeah, it's just
which is why it's up there.
Yes, looks pretty, completely useless. Like me. That's how I sold myself to my husband. I was like,
there you go.
Don't expect me to do anything functional. He's like, I got it.
All right. Janine says, is there amount to scale up? Never go with what Meta recommends. Every single one of Meta's recommendations are always going to be low. If they're ever right, it's the broken clock thing. And the reason why is that we're just not their target. Their recommendations are not meant for us. The recommendations are also not meant for people running traffic ads. And that's actually a good thing to keep in mind. When you encounter people outside the indie author sphere talking about Facebook ads, they're talking about sales ads. They're not talking about traffic ads. Nobody in their right mind runs traffic ads at any scale. We're like the sad, sorry people who are stuck running traffic ads because we're sending people to a retailer like Amazon. And so things are different for us. You got guys like was it John Lepore? I can't remember what his last name is. And he's like, you should run 50 ads. If you're not running 50 ads, it's not going to work. It's like, yeah, that's super cool for an ad agency. The average author can't run 50, even $5 a day ads when they start out. So we have to use different strategies. They're going to work for us. And we're running traffic ads. He's running sales ads. So it's a whole different beast. Because remember, that sales ad is getting conversions to the bottom of the funnel. Facebook has a really good idea who these high value customers are. We're running traffic ads. We're up here. Facebook is like, I don't know if these are the right people. I'm just going to send them and hope that things work. Because Facebook has no visibility into whether or not they actually converted. So we need different tactics. And so much of what we do involves using the Amazon attribution data because that's how we measure if the ad's actually working. So when it comes to scaling up, I scale. It depends on the person's risk. Like if it's me or like a client that's like making 7 figures a month, we'll scale by $50 at a time. If it's someone who's like very budget conscious, we scale by $3 to $5 at a time. And then we wait 3 to 5 days watching the Amazon attribution data to see how the ad worked. So a lot of it's based on your risk. Does Facebook still push dynamic creative? No, they've been talking about it going away for forever now. I'm shocked it hasn't actually gone away yet. But the reporting for dynamic creative seems to be finally completely broken with no sign of ever recovering. So that's another one of the reasons why I don't recommend it. Courtney said we use Amazon attribution links all the time. What's your take on the new flexible ad selection? Have you used it? So flexible ad option generally only shows up for sales ads. Some people get it for traffic ads and other formats. It's basically the new version of dynamic creative where you can put multiple images and everything in there. Until like 3 weeks ago, it had no reporting. You couldn't see which thing was working better in your flexible ad, so I never used it. Like 3 or 4 weeks ago, they added an option to actually do the breakdown and see how things work for flexible ads. And I haven't actually played with it enough yet to know if it's good enough to recommend it. So right now, I'm not using it because of that, because I don't trust the reporting. For you, if you're curious what I'm talking about, so in this particular ad, the one actual ad running in this account, I have 2 images here. Which of these images getting all the clicks? Which ones has the best result rate? What's my cost per click on each image? I have no idea. I can click breakdown and I can go to dynamic creative and I can go to image, video, and slideshow. Oh my God, it actually showed it. Okay, this is the first time that this has worked in forever. Ironically, it's not showing me the different images. I probably have to click on this. Yeah, and then it shows me the image. So I can see that. I can see which one's working better. I can see that this one is, these are both crazy expensive. I made these ads like in March and haven't turned them off. They're my example ads. Right now, the example is these are ads I should turn off. They're too expensive. The result rates are too poor, but but this one image is a little bit better. So maybe I'll just turn on, I'll do that right now. So this one's doing better. The ship looks like a penis. I don't know why the ad works, but it does. This one where the ship look cool and not like penises, it's not working. So I'll go in here and I'm just going to nuke the non-penis image.
I liked that image. I thought I was on mute. I was laughing. Whoops.
Yeah, you were totally unmuted. Everybody heard you giggling like crazy
just person. Cackling.
Yeah. So anyway, this is the first time in weeks I've gone to do an image breakdown on a dynamic creative ad, and it worked. Usually you click do the breakdown and it doesn't do anything. Nothing changes. They now have a new thing down here under just creative with flexible format. And that one, I've not played with it enough to really get a solid feel for how it works. It has actually worked each time I've looked at it. So that's been a promising. But I kid you not, flexibles have been around for a year and a half, and there was no way to get any visibility into what was working and what wasn't. It's kind of nuts. So I guess in a way, I don't have a fault. I'm still recommending not using flexible and not using dynamic creative, mainly because I just am not trusting the reporting right now. So that's where I'm at there. Oh my God, we're just at the Heather's boot camp about cord cutting in the comments. You guys are mad lads. Come on. Not that many, I don't think there's any lads here, but aside from that. All right, Jill's got the links in there. People signing for the schools. Oh, thank goodness I can whip through these questions. Because they're not questions. T. Martin says, I have a winter contemporary snowed-in romance. I always struggle to find the right ad images to use. How do you determine what images work best? Different ad for each image, Amazon attribution links, and see which one converts best. Generally, I mean, if it's snowed in a cabin, then like cabin in the woods and mysterious. I'm guessing it's a mystery. Oh, it's romance, not mystery. Well, I guess then happy looking cabin in the woods. If it's like a murder mystery, then it's like scary looking cabin in the woods. But because really you're like going for the emotion, right? So if you show like this snowed in cabin, people would be like, oh, like and it's got lights are on and smoke's coming out the chimney. It's got warm, fuzzy feelings. That sort of thing tends to work best. It's always about like what emotion are people going to see when they see the image, and then test. Kate says the best practice to still do separate campaigns for video ads from static, or can we put them in the same campaign? I do separate. I don't know. Jill says Mel separates them still. I'm not super consistent about it. I do for clients. I separate them because it just makes my reporting easier. For myself, sometimes I'm a little bit sloppy. I don't think it makes a big difference data wise from like a Facebook, like how Facebook works standpoint. That being said, now that there's evidence that ads within the same campaign bleed audience data between them, maybe they should always be in separate campaigns actually, because if I'm running a video ad, I'm trying to hit probably a younger demographic on Instagram. And if I'm running images, I'm trying to hit an older demographic on Facebook a lot of the time. And I really don't want those audiences bleeding. So yeah, I think, yes, do what Mel says, not what Mel does. So actually Mel does it, just not for herself. Do what Mel does for clients. Run separate campaigns. I hadn't had account shut years. Okay, so this is back to this because I set up a page for an erotica pen name, and my Facebook kept pestering me to boost the page for likes. As soon as I did, they shut down my entire ad account, deleted the page as well. Thank you for punishing me for doing the exact same thing you did. Oh, that's brutal. That one was probably that they nuked the page and the ad account got nuked separate. Secondly, but that's weird that they would do that. I did this one author who actually, this was the other scenario. They wrote actually thrillers, but their main character had the same name as a German porn star, and that got them nuked as well. So like there are some landmines out there that you'll just never guess at, but it's exceedingly rare. Like I can count on one hand, and I think I've counted to 3. I'm giving myself some leeway for possibly 2 other ones I forgot. The number of times I've had people I work with get their accounts shut down, like in a way that you can't get it back. There are sometimes where it's an accident, or Facebook's like, "Oops, my bad," and they just give it back to you. So there's probably been like 20 or 30 of those, but we got them back. All right, we're back. We're on the tuck joke. Call back to that. What conversion event do you use for lead gen ads? I use complete registration because that's the only one that used to be available for lead ads. It just feels right to me because they're signing up for I guess subscribe would feel more right, but subscribe didn't used to be an option. It doesn't matter so long as what you pick in Facebook matches what you pick in BookFunnel or Story Origin. Kendra is leaving. Posts to Heather Hildebrandt's Gold Blue. Oh, look, lots of comments on that, but I can just scroll. Not that I don't love answering your questions, but eventually I need to go paint our new office that we got, which I've been painting for a while. Is the multiple cover rule the same for different formats, IG, paperback, and ebook? Those ones you could do like a combo 3D ad. My favorite place to do that actually is at DIY book covers. Doing DIY book covers. This is by Derek Murphy. He's a fabulous indie author who offers this tool for free for everybody. DIYbookcovers.com/3D mockups. And on here, you can like choose from like these cool different mockups. He doesn't have one that has paperback and hardcover, so maybe I might mash up my own or something like that. But I use these for all of my little books in the corner. Usually I use this one. This is like my go-to. It's a paperback and an ebook, and the spine is facing away, so I don't have to worry about uploading a spine image as well. And that's what generally I put on almost every ad that I do. So you can get away with like combos like this, but I'm thinking like a scenario where you've got like your ad and the bottom like third of it is just a row of 4 book covers or something like that. Those are the ones that never seem to work. Lisa says I went and got Gatorade and snacks. Oh my goodness. Jill says we may need to order dinner. You guys are hilarious. All right, some folks are leaving. Bye. I mean, obviously you're not here anymore, but bye anyway. I'm glad that more cats have joined us. I understand the value result rate, but I'm finding that the lower my result rate gets, the better my CPC, CPR, unique outbound clicks. This has been leading to better sales reads on my attribution links. Thoughts on this? Plus my CPM is low, running between 2 and 3%. It's the result rate is something that it used to be like the only real metric we had, and then we got the attribution data, which is obviously the most important data, right? Like if you got a good cost and you got good conversions, that's 90% of it. Result rate is a little bit more tied to, and this is what I talk about now that we have the other side of the picture with attribution. I kind of talk about more as like the longevity of your ad. The lower your result rate gets, I mean, result rate could be lower because Facebook is showing your ad to more people. So it's just throwing spaghetti at the wall, which means there's lots of people out there it can throw spaghetti at, and so it's cheap, and so you have a lower CPC because it's just showing to anybody, but your result rate also drops because it's showing it to anybody. But what it also probably means is that if you tried to scale up your spend, your ad would probably falter and die because there's just not enough people that are actually converting or clicking to carry on. So it's much more an indicator of ad longevity or your ability to scale spend, I think, than it is about the likelihood of conversion that you're going to get. But like the real thing is like if you got a good CPC and you got good conversions, that's a good ad. But if the other metrics are off, maybe your CPC is starting to climb, your result rate's been on a downward trend, then maybe that's not the ad to scale. Maybe you want to try and find an ad that converts just as well, but has an amazing result rate. That one probably has more of a buffer as if you were to scale it. But again, like not always. The proof is always in the pudding. I'm just sort of like a lot of times I'm talking generally what's most likely to be true. There's 1,000 exceptions for every rule when it comes to Facebook ads. Do you use value rules only with Advantage Plus, or do you use it with Original? You don't actually have to use it with Original because you can make all of those changes without having to use the value rules. It's only when you're using the Advantage Plus one that you sort of like cede control and have to use the value rules to sort of get back the thing that you just turned off. It's kind of crazy. The one exception that I've had where I still might use value rules if I just kind of like want to like if I want to just like maybe ease down a particular age demographic or gender, I could like maybe decrease their bid by 20% or 30% or something like that, just to maybe give some other placements or age groups or genders a fair shake. But I've only done it a little bit. I've only played with that a little bit. Generally speaking, you don't have to with original audience because it actually listens to the age and gender that you put in. All right, people leaving. Bye, folks. When you use broad targets, this is from Julie, like just women and no other targets, do you recommend doing as Advantage Plus or original audience? To be honest, when you go broad like that, it really doesn't matter. So I would probably just go Advantage Plus, unless, well, if you only want to show to women, then if you use the Advantage Plus audience, do make the value rule to not show to men. If you use original, you don't have to do that. I think it's probably 6 of one, half a dozen of the other when you're going broad like that. All right, men don't need shirts. We've caught up to the suit jacket part. We're getting close. What about images for fantasy, romance, and dragons? I tell you, if there's a dragon in your book, your ad better have a dragon on it. Dragon people they're there for the dragons. I feel like Dragon Rider is a perm without a dragon, right? Can you imagine that? No, put the dragon on. Always got the dragon. I mean, the major tropes in your story should be front and center in your ad. That sort of applies to everything. Margaret, that was from Catherine. Margaret says, or Margot, sorry, I keep doing that to you. I apologize. All right, small town, cowboy romance, and Omegaverse. The Manchester still applies? Yes, but he better be wearing a cowboy hat. And if it's, I'm guessing most of, not all of Megaverse, but a lot of the Megaverse is reverse harem. So now you need a bunch of cowboys without shirts. But vests, for them, they need to be wearing the leather vest. Oh, I got Lee to die. That was the goal there. Jill actually says that. She said a cowboy hat to make a shirt. She's way ahead of me. Would ads that link to other bookstores work? Is it bad to place multiple links in an ad? Not actually, no. Like I said, 85% of all book purchases still happen on Amazon. So if I'm doing wide ads, I might use something like Genius Links to do, or books to read or something like that. The downside to those is you use the Amazon attribution, which I really like the Amazon attribution data. So what my go-to is still for wide ads that, like at the bottom of my excerpt, which is going to be somewhere around here, I would say like, available wherever good books are sold, and then maybe I'll link to Apple, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, and then I'll say other retailers and have like a books to read link. So I'll put that at the bottom of the text here. But my main link for the ad is going to be the Amazon one because that's where most people are going to go. And that gets me the best of both worlds. I still get my attribution link tracking for Amazon, and then I get I make people aware of the fact it's in other bookstores. I've actually also found that available wherever good books are sold works as a great headline too. Um, and that way people will be a little more be like, oh, I can get this wherever they'll go out. I'm getting juice box. We're
Mal, do you need an intermission to go have a bio break or anything?
I think we're
Or
at
grab
2
some
hours.
water.
I was gonna,
we're really close.
we're really
You're
close.
good? You're
I was
good?
gonna
Okay.
call it
Okay.
at 2 hours, but
Let me just double check.
you've got
This is not our record, by the way. This is nothing.
it was a record for me. Zoom kept being like, you have to increase the amount of people allowed.
Oh.
Oh,
and I
wow.
was like, okay, awesome,
Cool.
everybody.
Yeah, I think I've only got like 3 more, so we can wrap it up.
Okay, we're doing
Julie says-
3, and then you're gonna
Oh,
all
yeah, we're
join the
good.
school. Everyone join the school. You are ready. You are here. You've got this. Join
You
the
love
school.
information. So, I mean, Mal loves information, clearly.
Join the school.
So Julie says, what's a good result rate? And does this apply only to traffic or sales ads and lead gen ads? I really don't look at result rate for traffic ads. With sales and leads ads, I can just look at how much money I'm paying to get the sale or the lead, and that's a much better indicator. Yeah, it really comes down to that. I rarely look at result rate for the other ad types. A good result rate is over 4%. Although I feel like it's been getting harder to get good result rates with some of the changes Facebook's been making. So I'll let ads slide down to like 1% now sometimes, because if they're still converting, they're good. It just means I'm less likely to be able to scale that ad. But generally you want like over 4%. And that's for images, by the way. Reels will oftentimes get like 10+% result rates. They get way higher result rates, but they convert at half the rate. So their numbers look better, but they convert worse. Generally, not always. Paula says Dynamics working well for me, and I haven't had any weird AI thing. That's the thing you don't know. There's no way to see it unless you see your ad constantly. And even if you see your ad constantly, there might be some that you're just not seeing. That's the thing that bugs me. I'm a control freak. I hate it. But if you see your ad a lot, and it doesn't have music playing and they haven't changed the text, then you're lucky. and if it's working, don't mess with it. Actually, you know what? Even if they're doing weird AI stuff and it's working, then I wouldn't worry about it. It's a lot of times it's the weird stuff they're doing is why it's not working. Hey, look, Paula got to join from Sydney. Hi. What's your take when Facebook ads stats are good, but the results from Amazon attribution doesn't follow through? This is from Julie. What that probably means is Facebook's showing your ad to the wrong people who like what it is, but either don't spend money or don't read books and got confused. Like if you're like the greatest scenario is you show some man chest, there's no book cover, nothing says book. Someone's like, I like man chest. They click on that. They're like, oh, books, I hate books. But 700 other people just did the same thing who don't read books. Now Facebook thinks that's your audience and they're just showing the ad to those people. So that's when you got to kill the ad. Facebook learned wrong for that ad, and it's going to take more time to fix it than not. Which is why running a lead ad to BookFunnel for your reader magnet is a great way to keep Facebook primed and tuned on who your readers are, because those people are actually doing a down funnel conversion event. Yeah, that's crazy. We still got 36 people here 2 hours later on. Later. Oh, thanks, Catherine. I'm so glad you're sticking around. She'll open a GoFundMe for snacks. You guys are a riot.
Mel, your hand has been raised for quite a while.
Oh, did I raise my hand?
Zoom does that. I was in a class where the teacher.
When you go like this, like in it. Oh, sorry. I just thought it was funny. I get antsy.
I did notice that it kept saying my hand was raised because I keep flailing my hands about. Yeah. I think this is it. I think this is all I've got.
I think we did it.
Yeah, we did. Look at that. It was just 3 more questions too, I think.
Explain briefly why you list out all the Amazon stores and different stores in your primary text, because that's a question I was answering just now in the comments.
I did answer that.
Did you say why?
Because I want
I wasn't listening.
No, I didn't say exactly why, but the main reason is I
Oh.
want people from those stores to know that they are seen and loved and click.
Yes. Okay. Great. Sorry. I guess I wasn't paying attention.
It was like only like 3 minutes ago too. You lost it.
It's 2 hours, you know. You lost me 90 minutes ago.
Yep.
No, I'm good. I just was typing. People were asking me, like, can I get a link to this that you're still in that Q&A? Can I have it later?
Excuses.
I'm working hard.
Just my producer. She's always doing work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So you want me to, what you said we should do something at the end. What was that?
We're going to you can talk a little bit about Fluent and Facebook ads, the 8-week, 10-week course with the live 1 hour to 2 hour training and the 2 to 3 hour Q&A. And it will be in Storyteller Lab, and maybe we could outline the itinerary just a little bit.
Jill says all these things because every time I try to do a course that's X number of weeks long, it goes 2 weeks longer.
I can quickly explain why. Is that because we plan out an itinerary, and then as the people come in and they start learning and they start asking questions, we see where people are actually struggling, where they're asking more questions, and we can see where we need to refine the process. So then we will add an extra few weeks to make sure that, like the data analysis, or like say people are really struggling with creative images, like that we really go over those things again and just keep sort of refining it. And every time it's different because you get a different group of people, and some groups struggle one way and then some groups struggle another way. So that's why usually I'll say it's the 6-week course that's going to take 10 weeks. It's just a joke. I wouldn't want to say it's a 10-week course and then have it end at 6 weeks. Then people will be like, well, you promised me 4 extra weeks. And now we get anxious about that too. Like we told people they're going to get this thing, and now we have to find a way to deliver the thing that we said we were going to do.
I want everyone on this call, which was like 90 plus people at one point. I didn't upgrade. I was like, if you didn't show up, sorry to those in Sydney.
On time.
Yeah, well, there's a recording available. Everyone, please join the school. Join the free one. I'm in the one in the link that I just put, and it's worth the money. The advice is obviously great. I feel like I have been taking all the ad courses, and you mentioned multiple things I had never heard anyone say before that were very actionable and very, like, I was just writing out, put all the links in, just do it. So thank you everyone who came.
Yeah. It's step by step. Mel always shares the screen, and we have homework. We review the homework live until we get through everything people have submitted.
Just today.
Basically like
just
this.
Just like today.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's great, and you learn so much, and you become really good friends with people in the group. And I love live workshops; they're wonderful.
AJ Rose says, actually, just so you guys know, you don't have to have a bare chest on the cover, but the bare chest on the ad is good. You don't need to go changing your covers. Oh, maybe you do, but
but that's a different Q&A.
Yeah, exactly.
Join the school to find out.
Yeah,
Storytellerlab.net if you want the premium membership course.
Don't worry, I know I need to change my covers.
It's okay.
They're covers until I can afford someone who actually has some graphic design skills.
That's okay, right? That's part of the process.
Yeah, I know. It's like I focus on writing the story, and then when they start selling, which they are, I will invest in a graphic designer to make covers, and then I will invest in all the other things, but one step at a time.
Yeah.
We all started there. Yeah.
Totally.
And you don't actually need to be live in the workshop. We do post the recordings like 24 hours after, so you can just watch it on your own time, submit your homework. Mel will answer the homework, even if you're not in the room, as if you were there.
Yeah. So you can watch the replay and get my feedback on your homework and your questions and everything.
If you have questions about which school should you be in, what you're not sure, just message me on Facebook or email me, and we can, work it out.
Awesome sauce. All right, everybody. Thank you for sticking around. I'm going to post this recording. I'm going to give it to Jill. She's going to post it. I'm going to post it in the Millionaire Author Mastermind in the boot camp. And you can see Malorie again in the boot camp, or just join the school. And I was going to post on my YouTube also. So you're going to find this.
Probably mine too. It's going to be everywhere. Really.
It's going to be everywhere.
People will just be sick of our faces.
Naughty butt sex everywhere.
Yes.
Forgot about that. I think people know what they're going to get when it's something I'm hosting. But thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You all rock. You all can do this. And I think that joining a community like this school will help you regulate your nervous system, calm down, because we're actually meant to regulate with others. Self-help is a lie. And then you
Co-regulation.
yes.
Big thing.
Then you can move forward and make good decisions about your career. So thanks for coming. You rock.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yay, thank you.
Happy holidays, everybody. See you
Yeah.
around.
Bye.
All right. Bye.